It's time to go beyond the headlines, cause I don't put in overtime just so I can headline. Okay, now it's Fox Sports, I'm live with Renee. Going hard every day, sports rapping every play. Different segments for your favorites, coming at you daily with positive vibes, yeah, we some game changers. Basketball, football, soccer, with different interviews, you never know who may pop up. Listen, only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines.
This week on Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington, we've got the head football coach from Colorado Mesa University, Tremaine Jackson, joining the show. Tremaine, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Renee. Thanks for having me.
I am happy to have you here to talk about the NCAA. And so off the bat, I want to ask you, what really inspired you to get involved with this movement towards hiring and getting more minority coaches at the forefront of college football?
Yeah, well, the NCAA was formed because Archie McDaniel and Van Malone and I, we all sat down along with some other coaches and just kind of felt like nothing was really happening at a pace that we were okay with as far as hiring minority coaches in coordinator roles and head coaching roles. And I myself being a head coach and going through this process 8 different times, I just kind of felt like we needed more to be happening because I couldn't be the only qualified minority coach that was going through these interviews. And so we sat down and decided to come up with an organization to, one, help push minority coaches, but then help prepare minority coaches on the other side. And so that's kind of why we got the MCAA rolling, and I think we're going to do some really good things.
Awesome. Yeah, and you know what? It's a great time for you guys to organize this because especially around all that we've been seeing at the college and professional level with more attention being drawn to the fact that, a lot of coaches that are being hired are coaches that have been fired or whatever, what have you, or mutually beneficial separation, whatever politically correct term they come up with. But it's all the same faces and it's a lot of white male coaches.
No doubt.
And that's what this change is towards.
Right. No doubt. We, there's a lot of qualified coaches out there, both white, black, Hispanic, Tongan, whatever it is. And we were tired of seeing the same old faces that happen to be white faces. And so I know a black man taught me this game through and through, and a lot of us. And so I wanted to be able to compete for those opportunities as well. And not just myself, but the guys that are a part of the MCAA. They're really good football coaches, and there's a lot more. So we want to be able to reach out to across the country and find minority coaches to help push them and prepare them to be in positions of leadership.
Yeah. Now you're coaching out in Colorado. You guys are, something that I think a lot of people need to understand is you're not all coaches from the same area. You're in one part of the world, Archie's in another part of the world, Van's in another part of the world, and here you guys are coming together. What really got all this started to even start having these conversations and really figure out that this is something that not only that you wanted to do, that you needed to do?
Yeah, well, Van Malone is a big reason why I'm in coaching. Van Malone coached me and all throughout high school. And I one day asked Van, how can I pay you back? And he said, man, just do it for somebody else. And so I got into coaching. Archie McDaniel is my best friend in the world. We met in coaching. And so, we all kind of started together. And Van has been able to be heavily involved in the AFCA. He leads the Minority Issues Committee. And so we just kind of sat down one day and just started talking about how things weren't moving at the pace we thought that they should be moving. A lot of things in coaching with positions of leadership, we're kind of just being told that everything's okay being okay. And we didn't feel that way. And, myself and Archie and Van, we kind of just said, hey, what else can we do? And when I was interviewing for head coaching jobs on the lower divisions, we were finding that there weren't a lot of guys. As I was trying to put together a staff, there were guys that wanted to come, but there were guys that might not have been ready to come in those positions. And so we kind of looked at it from both sides. Yeah, we need to push hiring minorities more, but we also need to help minority coaches get prepared so that we can't be denied. And I think that's kind of where all this blossomed from. And so you're looking, what you're seeing, Renee, is probably years worth of conversations now coming to the forefront.
That makes sense. So what are you guys actively doing to help prepare coaches so that they can not only be a candidate, but actually be the one that gets these head coaching positions?
Yeah, well, we're going to have a symposium July 7th in Houston. It's going to be on the campus of Texas Southern, and we've got some really good speakers coming from higher up administration as well as coaches that have done it, just to try to get a message out there that, hey, here's a pathway. We've got guys from different backgrounds that have taken different paths just so people can see the different ways to reach those positions. But we've also got people that are willing to sit down and talk ball and help raise the ball knowledge of guys as well. And so we're doing this free so guys can come on out, and we didn't want to have any excuses on why guys couldn't come. And so we're kind of reaching to our own pockets and doing this for free and for other people so we can help get guys prepared and ultimately start capturing a lot more positions of leadership.
I love that. That's incredible that you're now, there are action steps in place to help make this all possible. Can you take us through your journey getting to Colorado Mesa, having coached for years at the D1 level, D2 level, and really the journey that you've gone through, the ups and the downs behind it a little bit?
Yeah. So, as I look at my career, I always tell people I've been blessed to coach on every level of college football that has a scholarship. And so starting in junior college or starting at a Division II school, working for basically room and board, to going to a junior college, to getting $500 a month and thinking that I was on top of the world, just making some money to coach, and then being able to go throughout my career, it's been it's been really high at times, and like you said, it's been really low. I became a defensive coordinator at 26 years old. We had the number one defense in the FCS, and we got fired. And so it was kind of one of those deals to where you go, man, is this really for me? But I knew at that moment that I wanted to be a head football coach. And so from 2011 till this past year, I started making career moves in order to position myself to be a head coach. And around about 2014 or so, I had my first on-campus interview. I went through that process, Renee, 8 times before I was able to land a position. And some of those positions, I was told, hey, you need Division I experience. You need this, you need that. So I tried to go and get those things. Going to Texas State for the 2019 season was literally just checking a box for me. They were really good people. The university was great, but that is not ultimately what I wanted to do as a position coach. I had my eyes set on being a head coach. And so I really felt like going to check the FBS mark on my resume helped me become a head coach at Colorado Mesa, because when I walked in the door at Mesa, I couldn't be denied. I couldn't be told that I didn't have this or that experience. And so it was truly about, was I a good fit and not where I had been. And I had to go compete for this job, and we feel like we came out on top. And so it's been a long journey, but I wouldn't take anything back. I've had to live in different places in South Dakota, Missouri. I'm from Texas. I didn't know what snow pants was or anything like that, but chasing this football dream and trying to be a head coach, ultimately to affect change in young men's lives the way that I think it should go. And so it's been a journey, but it's been fun, and now we're here.
Yeah, and something that you talked about earlier in this discussion is the fact that, a Black man taught you. And I think that's something that a lot of these discussions around the need for more diversity in coaching is the fact that if you look at a sport, a lot of the times the coach is not the same as the player. So in football, it's predominantly Black players, but it's predominantly white male coaches. And even in women's sports, it'll be predominantly, it's women playing, but it's all white male coaches, And I think, of course, our society is still playing catch up because white men have been at the power forefront across society. So it's time that we have more coaches that look like players, so that
Mm-hmm.
players have a role model to look up to be able to say, you know what, I want to be like Tremaine Jackson. You know,
Yep.
I have someone that I can relate to as a friend, a coach, a mentor, a role model, a brother, an uncle, a father, whatever, you know, whatever need they have, or for the female side, of course, as well. But I think that's a big part of the need behind all of this.
Yep.
You know, what
Yep.
would you say is like something that you've dealt with in the course of your career, maybe even in your playing career, that was kind of that moment of reality, like, you know what, there needs to be more. I need to do more. There, you know,
Yeah.
that moment.
Yeah, it happened to me as a coach. You know, a guy named Kevin Ramsey, who is now a high school coach out in Arizona, but Kevin Ramsey had been everywhere, that places I can only dream of. He'd been to D.C. at Georgia and all of that, and had been in the Power Five pretty much his whole career. We got together at Texas Southern, and that's the guy that taught me defense. Before then, I was kind of just coaching D-line, but this guy brought me and taught me defense. He was extremely hard on me. I actually didn't understand it, but he was like a father to me in the profession. And at that moment, I was just okay with coaching D-line because that's what the profession said we should be okay with. And he kind of grabbed me and said, hey, man, listen, you have a lot of potential, but that's a dangerous word, and you need to fulfill what's inside of you with learning the whole of defense. And so he made me sit down and watch Skelly on the back end and learn coverages and things like that. Well, that really turned the tide for me, because before then, there was nobody that had ever grabbed me and said, hey, you can do this on a much higher level if you want to, if you dedicate yourself to doing so. I think that happens a lot to players. With us as coaches pulling guys in, going, hey, man, you haven't reached your full capability. Here's what you need to do. That had, you know, that it had happened to me as a player, but it didn't hit me like it hit me when he did that to me as a coach. From then on, my mission became twofold. To, one, continue to uplift players and help players grow into men, but also to get the next coach ready as well. And so I started taking a lot of pride in, when I became a coordinator, making sure that guys that were position coaches under me became coordinators. And so Renee, it hit me right between the eyes when he did that. And I think that's what our mission is with the NCAA. And that's why I think for me, it was something that was needed, and it was something that has to happen. And I think we're on the right track with getting that going.
So that leads me to wonder, I mean, something, I've never been a football coach. You know, I don't know what it's like. I've been a college soccer coach at the D1 levels, but I don't know what it's like in football. So I'm curious, from the outside looking in, and if this is something that I'm just seeing, but for you, have you seen where, you know, let me backtrack. A lot of coaching opportunities, or just opportunities in general, come from who you know, networking, connecting people, someone put in a word for you. It's a lot of word of mouth helping you get to that next job. Do you think that it tends to be more of white male coaches are grooming and then also pushing for their linesman coach that are also white, their coordinators, to get
No
that
doubt.
next head coach position? Or is it as obvious on the inside as it is on the outside? I guess that's a big question.
No, it's really obvious. If you look at who's getting collegiate head coaching jobs predominantly, it is young offensive guys, guys that have called plays for offensive coordinators. Even some guys are getting opportunities that are not the play caller, but the head coach is calling plays. But like you said, that guy's being groomed. Well, a lot of times, Renee, that guy's white. I'm a defensive guy by trade, and pretty much everybody in our group are defensive guys besides a couple of guys. You don't see a lot of young black offensive play callers. I don't know why that is. And we've been one of our deals is to try to figure that out. But you do see young offensive guys getting head coaching jobs because everybody wants to score points. So we've got to try to turn the tide, and we aren't being groomed because, one, there aren't any head coaches or aren't many head coaches. Let me backtrack. Aren't many head coaches in Division I that are offensive guys that are grooming the next young Black offensive coach. And so, therefore, you don't see a lot of Black coaches getting jobs because that's not the trend right now. I always talk to Archie about we have to take a different approach as Black coaches. I call it the other side of the mountain. What I wanted to do, I wanted to be a head coach anyway, but Colorado Mesa gave me an opportunity to be a head coach and prove myself as a head coach. And then if something should happen 5 or 10 years from now or whenever the good Lord says so, to where I get another opportunity, it's on my own merit as a head coach, not dependent upon somebody to promote me. That's what I think we have to do now. I'm kind of that guy in our group that goes, hey, man, I'm telling you, we got to go on the other side of the mountain, and that's go be in charge of something, get a product, and then let your product shine through. But as long as we're not in charge of anything, then we have no true product. And so I think it's just different for us, but it is definitely as obvious on the inside as it is to you on the outside.
Dag, man. These are conversations that need to be had. These are things that it's a sensitive topic to some, but it's reality to many of us that this is something that it's time for it to change. So I guess my last question to you would be then, what would be your message if you were giving your TED talk? What's your final message to leave people with that, it's not, yes, it's a Black and white or Spanish, it's a race discussion, but it's a race discussion to help improve the experience for everyone.
Right.
What would be your final message that you would try to, encourage others that this is something that we need to get more people involved with the NCAA, and it needs to be people of different races. Right.
No doubt. My message would be, hey, we're not some organization we're not the Black Panther Society or organization. We're not trying to say white people are wrong or anything like that. What we are saying is that there is an issue. We're good enough to play. We should be good enough to coach. And all we're asking for is an opportunity to show ourselves. And what I would say on the flip side of that is when we get that opportunity, we have to be very prepared to show that we are ready. I feel like I have a great responsibility as a head football coach to represent this organization, my family, and myself really well, and this institution as well, really well, so that the next young Tremaine Jackson, young Archie McDaniel, young Van Malone can get an opportunity to be a head coach at a prestigious place like Colorado Mesa. So I would say, listen to us. We're not rogue. We're very educated men. We're just trying to spark a conversation that it is over time to be had and figure out why things are like they are and how can we get them changed. And so our arms are open. We just ask that you hug us back. And so we can sit down and have that conversation. And I think once the conversation is started, people will get over the fear of the race issue and just talk about good ball coaches being good ball coaches. But we have to address it for what it is on the front end, and then we can all grow together.
Right. I love it. Well, Tremaine, where can we follow up to get more information and also follow up with what you're doing personally as a coach?
Yeah, well, first of all, you need to follow the @MCAA 2020 Twitter. That'll give you the updates on our symposium in July. And then my own personal Twitter is @CoachJack212, or you can Google Colorado Mesa University football to find out what we're doing. Our program is doing some really good things. We're going to be out in the community as soon as this virus allows us to be. We're going to get out in that community, and we look to play a great brand of football and get things moving, both with the NCAA and with our brand over here at Colorado Mesa.
I love it. Yeah, this virus is really hitting hard and flipping the whole world upside down right now. But I'm happy that we were able to have this conversation and bring the MCAA to the forefront. So thank you so much, Tremaine, for joining the show this week. It's been a pleasure having you on to talk about your experiences, the MCAA, and all the exciting things we can expect, including the symposium in July.
Thanks, Renee, so much. Look forward to it.